You know, when you're walking the street and you see somebody with a Louis Vuitton purse or whatever, and you're like,
Man,
man,
I want to steal that.
man, they spent $5,000 or however much a Louis Vuitton purse is to get that luxury item. Why would they do such a thing? So the question is, why do luxury items exist? Why do we as humans buy them? And that is the question we are tackling today at Universal University.
So I have a few theories. First of all, I think a lot of this whole fashion thing is it's a way for the rich to put their money into something so that they can sell it later down the line, something that doesn't lose value because its value is meaningless anyways.
I think maybe that's part of it. I think the largest thing, though, is just that it's a social symbol. These brands have been able to put themselves in a position where they can say that to own my item is to be part of a certain group. And as humans, we want to be part of the in group. So then they're able to just make boatloads of cash selling things that are not worth anything in reality.
That's a good point. Originally in human history, like luxury was getting the shiny rock or the cool smooth rock. And
Yeah.
we evolved that. I don't really know why. Maybe because shiny rock was like a better tool or weapon. Because like if it's shiny, it might be metal, and metal's stronger than like dull rock. I don't know.
People smarter than me have tried to figure out why things have aesthetic value, but I would say there's two reasons these things come about. The first thing you're talking about, the shiny rock, I honestly just believe that's because we think it's beautiful. I think it's hard to say exactly why we think some things are beautiful. Some people have like evolutionary arguments. Other people have completely different arguments that are somewhat convincing. But I think for luxury goods specifically, like Louis Vuitton, things like that, there's an argument by your favorite guy, Karl Marx, who is able to explain why these things come about. And it's called market fetishization. Look it up.
Yeah, well, last time I tried to look up Marxist fetishization, I got some crazy Soviet art.
No, market fetishization. And it works like this. Since we're so close to Valentine's, the classic example is Valentine's cards. Imagine at some point in history, there was Valentine's Day, right? And there was no Valentine's cards. And eventually some guy was like, man, you know how I should profess my love to this person? I should write a card.
Material goods.
Exactly. But originally, there's a lot of care built into this, right? Like it's an authentic thing that this person has created to give somebody else. Then a businessman comes along and he's like, man, that's a great thing right there. I wonder, could I start mass producing this item and then slowly push my way into the market share? So he starts mass producing Valentine's cards, for example. And then eventually, Valentine's Day, I mean, think of it nowadays. Valentine's Day is inseparable from the product that is a card,
or
right?
Candy,
in order
or
to
flowers.
show an emotion that was originally didn't have a product attached to it, no monetary value, it was just something authentic between two people. Now we live in a world, due to market fetishization, as Marx would call it, that attaches emotions to money. And I think this is very similar to what happens with luxury brands like Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that like wealth and opulence that kind of like people that go out in the street, they don't need to show that they have money. In fact, you'd think it would be smart to show that they don't. But the fact that they wear their Supreme, Gucci, Hope Diamonds and crap, all of that just goes to show that they want people to know that they own power. Like the rich person owns power and they want to exert that power in some way. I don't know. Like, I think what you said, market fetishization, I think it's a fetish for them.
I think it really is. I mean, think of it this way. At one point, there was a bunch of rich people, and the rich people were like, man, I really want to show to other people that I have a lot of power. That's like an emotion they have. And then one day, a smart businessman comes along and he's like, well, looky here, I can start tinkering with these things that already have some sort of social connotations and turn them into a mass-produced product. And then once I do that, I can attach this emotion of wanting to feel power over others, wanting to feel like you have wealth to this specific good, like a purse, for example, a Louis Vuitton purse. And then this businessman starts making bank because in order for the rich people to convey that they have money, to convey this emotion that they're feeling, they have to have the product that the market has created, which is crazy to think about. And I think that think about that for long enough, you'll start to realize that all of those luxury goods have no value because they're just marketed goods to sell you something that originally your ancestors had for free. It was just emotions.
And I think one last big point to talk about, to bring this back to the real world that we live in right now, you and me, is back in the French Revolution, the wealthy, they showed off their wealth and they had all their jewelry and crowns and their treasure chests full of booty. And all of those rich people got killed for it. And they had the sharp guillotine, you know, ironically, it glistened as it came down and decapitated them, much like St. Valentine. But nowadays, the wealth disparity looks almost the same, but the wealthy aren't wearing their crowns in public as much. In fact, more people with Louis Vuitton are out there than there were during the French Revolution, people who had money. But now the super wealthy, they're influencing politics in this like corrupted way, but what they're not doing is wearing a crown and going, I'm rich, so I'm better than you. They try and blend in and be imposters, you know, like Mark Zuckerberg, he's a lizard and he's trying to make us think he isn't.
I actually disagree with this. I think there is just as much as there was back then, but versus back then where the crowns and the opulence and stuff was, I want to say art, like it was special tailor made to the person who was super, super rich. Nowadays, if you look at these people like Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or anything like that, they have the same level of opulence, but they choose to spend it on products that can be mass produced. For example, does a person need a 20-room mansion? No. People have survived for thousands of years without a 20-room mansion.
That's a really good point. They're spending on experiences now, like the rich people going to space or shooting cars into space or sending submersibles down into the ocean to explode. Like what purpose do we get? It's not for science, it's just for bragging rights.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I don't know if we could necessarily throw that under the luxury goods.
No, going to space, Jeff Bezos going to space and a fucking Tesla Roadster going to space is a luxury service. I'll put it at that.
Yeah, I question the value of it. Like the actual value that's supposed to be tied to them.
Because it looks cool and it makes them look powerful. I don't know.
Like Mark Zuckerberg, for example, he owns the furthest west Hawaiian island. Like he almost owns the entire island.
There's a game, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, that takes place in 2025. So actually a year before now. And the main quote-unquote villain is quoted saying that opulence is sinful and we all pay for it. And you know what? The fact that they made him the villain, but he was spitting fact, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Maybe that tells you something about society.
Well, that's gonna have to be it from us. We'll definitely come back to, I think, talking about this whole wealth disparity thing we got going on. But just a key takeaway: if you see somebody with that supreme Gucci, Louis Vuitton, wealthy crap on them, steal it. You're allowed to.
Well, I don't. That's not legal advice. Don't do that.
If it's illegal, don't do it.
True, good point. Yeah. If it's against the law, don't do it. But if you find yourself in like Zimbabwe,
if you find yourself in a situation where the law doesn't apply, do it. It's the right thing to do. All right, thank you everybody so much for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.